One of our top minds demanded brand name Lyrica, which is a controlled substance BTW. When informed that the insurance will not pay for brand name, just because he wants brand name, he claimed the price was $22 without insurance, a number synthesized purely out of thin air, as the price for brand name Lyrica is well over $800. And #X200B. For his next trick, he claimed that his doctor knew he was allergic to generic medication, but prescribed it anyway. And #X200B. Lastly, he will not be going to our local hospital, 10 minutes drive. Instead, he will be finding someone to drive him an hour away to go to the next city over. And #X200B. For the record, although it's slightly possible that one could be allergic to certain manufacturers of certain drugs, there is absolutely no way someone could be allergic to all generic medication ever. So the wife and I decide to walk over to the store to buy some bleach for laundry. When we get there we see they are all out, so we decide to go next door to the dollar store so we can at least get a small container to wash up a few loads. First thing I noticed was the cashier at the front of the store being asked about t-shirts. The cashier instructs the person asking to go to insert aisle here and he will find shirts there. I walked right past the aisle going towards the bleach and I sure enough see shirts. I get my bleach and the wife and I wait in line to check out. The guy comes back up and claims there are no shirts there. The cashier assures him there are and the man gets testy demanding he walk him to the shirts. The cashier says I can do so as soon as he gets another worker to come take care of the front. That was not good enough for the guy and he joins a woman in the line just in front of us and it turns out they are here together. She has balloons in her hand and just as she is getting to the cashier she gets a call. No big deal, wrong. Her balloons have numbers on them. The cashier needs to identify their price. He politely asked for the numbers since the woman is holding the balloons and they are too high up for him to see the info he needs. She ignores him and continues her call. He politely repeats himself and she gives him the mean look. The next time he says, "Could you please bring the balloons lower so that I can get the number?" She just hands him the balloons. The cashier is done with these two by this time and takes the balloons, gets the number and charges them to their total. But this is when he made my day. He lets the balloons go. They float up and away. The guy with the lady is paying and the lady with him is too invested into her call to notice. So they grab their bag and then she puts her hand out hoping the cashier will hand her the balloons. He gestures to the balloons now floating several feet away. The guy tells the cashier to retrieve the balloons for them and the cashier gave the most half-assed attempt to reach a few feet away and then says I can't reach them. I can do so as soon as he gets another worker to come take care of the front. I burst out in laughter and the woman and guy are now embarrassed. They go jump and get their stray balloons and rush out. Made my day a million times more enjoyable. About 10 years ago or so, I worked for a company that had some sites that were out of the country. We had one international location that was shutting down, which means we weren't paying for expensive network connectivity anymore. Don't remember if they had DSL, cable or what after their T1s were removed, but it was adequate. That is until we got an email from the operations manager for that site. He complained that their network connectivity was extremely slow and hindering getting work done. I passed this on to one of my guys to initially look at it. He was able to gain access to this manager's computer via whatever remote software we used at the time. About 5 minutes after I've passed this off, I get an email from my guy asking me to come over to his computer and take a look at what he's found. What do I need to look at, I wonder? How can he need my help with just 5 minutes of troubleshooting done? Apparently, the operations manager didn't think that perhaps the peer-to-peer sharing of media, I can't say the type so we'll just call them videos, would slow the site's internet connection significantly. This manager had left for a bit as he knew we were on his computer and I didn't have a cell number to reach him. I asked for the keyboard and opened up Notepad on the ops manager's computer. My note was something like, "Are you effing kidding me? We are doing no further troubleshooting while you are illegally sharing videos. Give me a call. Sparky." No further action was taken on my end because the darn location was getting shut down. What would be the point? No call was made to me from the ops manager, but I did get a very apologetic email that was vague on details but acknowledged he pulled a bonehead move. TLDR, user complains about slow internet at a site. Turns out he's slowing it down because of the peer-to-peer videos he's sharing. I love my mom. She's lovely. Don't get me wrong. But I used to wait tables at a breakfast place and she came in once. Had a lovely time, but when she left she had tipped me $3. I wouldn't mind, but it wasn't even 10%. Now when we go out to eat I always leave extra cash on the table because she apparently sucks at tipping. Then when my husband's parents came to eat, they left me at 20. So it all even are in the end. Smiley face. Edit. Okay, apparently I need to be more clear. I'm not mad she only left me $3. I'm more shocked that she used to serve and doesn't even leave 10%. I meant to make a post more about her tipping habits in general, not to sound like a spoiled brat. Sorry. Also, I guess I should have left the comment about my in-laws out. Not at all trying to compare them. My in-laws are lovely and I love them, but my mother is my mother and I love her too. Geez. I have a lot of pets. The majority of people know how training works. You offer something perceived as a reward when an animal's behavior is desirable. Except the timing is really important. My 8-year-old asked me how to train her highly bonded, inseparable and observant kitty, Zoe, how to do tricks after spending too much time on a virtual pet game. I demonstrated getting Kitty into a basic cute pose in stages and instructed, and then you do a little more tomorrow, it'll take a few weeks. I turned my back to finish supper and somehow within that time frame my kid only gave the cat a treat when Zoe meowed as loudly as possible by working in stages to increase her meow volume only. Now I have a screaming cat that just knows it is supposed to scream at people. I hope Zoe forgets by tomorrow. And #X200B. TLDR, I have a gargoyle cat that perches and waits for human activity so it can leap out and scream at them as loudly as possible. Few years ago, I was working IT support for a small software company that went through a growth period. During that time they had hired a marketing/design person out of California. The company was in the Midwest. I set up a computer for the user to use, normal fruit book that we had on hand. The user came to the office, did the standard new hire things, then a few days later, headed back to California. The following week, I get an email from the CEO with the CTO and the user ceased on it. This is unacceptable. This new user is a key part in getting the message out on our company, and these specs on this laptop are not good enough for this user. Get a new, more powerful one, set up and shipped out ASAP. The laptop was a 3500 fruit book. I was a little confused. The user has been here for a week. What could you be doing to need some crazy spec laptop? Being newish at the company, I went to the CTO to get his take. Me, did you read that email CEO just sent? CTO, yeah, that laptop is more than enough to get the job done the user is tasked with. Then a smirk flashed on the CTO's face. CTO, you know what, let's get the user a new fruit book. I feel like shopping. The CTO proceeds to custom build a new fruit book with the max performance options, and adds many bells and whistles to it. New price, a little under $10K. CTO, there I will email CEO and get the go-ahead. Doubting that the CEO would go for it for that price. A little while later, CTO emails me that the laptop is in process and I need to go pick it up, in a few weeks. Shocked, I go to talk with CTO again. Me, really? CEO went for that? CTO, yep. Me, well, okay then. Once the new fruit book was ready, I picked it up and set it up, and shipped it out to the user. No more complaints. The fun of it all is that, within 3 months the company went on the downward path. The growing company started to shrink again, as people were let go. One of the people let go was the user from California. We got the fruit book shipped back to us. Me, hey CTO, the fruit book from California is here. CTO, okay, reset it and give it to me. Me, oh. Now I get why you had that little smirk when you ordered that laptop. CTO, yep, I built it like I was building it for myself, longer wait time, but it's mine now. Would not want to let the expensive fruit book go to waste, you know? Luckily my time at that company was not very long, before I got out of there with most of my sanity still intact. To set the stage, this story happened in the 92 or 93 when I worked for a small software/hardware company specializing in dental office software. This was in the days before the modern laptop, and the solution our management had found for our sales force to do on-site demos was a computer all built into the keyboard. Picture a 3-inch thick metal keyboard with a VGA port. Our sales teams would ship this modern marvel of portable computing and a CRT monitor to wherever they were doing a demo, then go on-site and hook it all up. I get a call from one of the owners to hurry to their office to help one of our salespeople who called with a problem. SP equals salesperson, me equals me. Me, what going on? SP, I'm on site and all set up, but when I turn it on I get a message that there is no boot device. Knowing that these wonderful portable computers had an IDE hard drive that instead of a cable connecting it to the MB sat next to the MB, and the pins that normally would be connected to cable were instead just pressed into a female connector directly on the MB. and that the hard drive wasn't mounted as firmly as it should be. I guessed that the hard drive had moved and was no longer connected to the MB fully. This usually required me to open the case and press down on the drive to seat it properly, but I couldn't ask the salesperson to bust out a screwdriver and open the case. So I said, "Me, pick the computer up 6 inches off the desk and drop it." "SP, you want me to do what?" "Me, pick it up and drop it." "SP, that's what I thought I heard. I can't do that, the entire staff is sitting here watching." "Me, if you want it to work, pick it up and drop it." I hear a thud over the phone as they picked it up and dropped it on the desk, and a minute of silence then. "SP, thank you, it is working now." Been working for a local pizza place in the UK for a couple months now. I'd been there for a month before the corona lockdown meant I went on to furlough and had 4 weeks of furlough before the store opened back up. Upon returning to the store for my first shift, the owner pulled me aside and told me that all his drivers would be self-employed and payments would be completed through me invoicing him personally at the end of each week for my delivery expenses and hours worked. This is shady AF, right? I figured the reason is to save the hassle of having to furlough his drivers and only have to worry about his in-store staff if this were to happen again. Edit, looking for a new job, the joys. I just want to thank all of you for everything you do. I couldn't make it through my days without my meds, and every month the techs and pharmacists at my pharmacy prove to me more and more how caring you all are. My insurance doesn't cover prescriptions, so I use GoodRx. I got the normal phone call from one of the techs at my pharmacy when I refilled last week asking about insurance. I told them what I use and that I just haven't looked up the coupon yet. They told me that one of my meds is on their cash list and they can refill it for 3 months and it will be less expensive than just 1 month. I had no idea. I thought it would be a couple dollars less. It is normally about $9. I paid about $14 for 3 months. I almost cried. It's not a lot of money, but my other meds bring my pharmacy bill over $150 every month, so just that savings is a huge weight off of my shoulders. You all are seriously amazing. I hope for every one horrible customer you have that you have 20 that truly appreciate how great you guys are. We've had a lady and her BF for a few weeks that negotiated a long-term stay rate. She is in medical travel, and to be here for a while. There were multiple red flags at the beginning. A couple nights and her BF was taken off as an accompanying guest. Then added back. Maybe drama. But a couple of our agents said he was aggressive, complaining about everything and making them nervous. Last night at 4:30 a.m. The lady calls the front desk and says to call the police, she's been strangled and beaten. Our audit sends security up, who happens to be 6 feet 10 inches and ripped, while he calls the police. Security doesn't find anything because she's already fled the room with him chasing her. Somehow they ended up outside, she got away, and came running into the lobby. Far enough ahead to tell Night Audit he was after her and she needed the police. She ran around the Walter Market and hid there. Audit is trying to process, tells security to get back to the front desk, and dude comes running in. Demands a key to the room, and says his GF has gone crazy. Audit tries to delay him. Says your name isn't on the room. Take a seat and chill for a minute while I call and get you access to the room. He knows she is around and walks his ass into the market and finds her. Giant security man gets back to the front desk just in time, walks in between them and takes her and locks her in our back office. Her face is swollen. She has bruises all over. The police finally arrive, arrest him, and he's in jail. Today her face was still swollen. She was tearing up when my GM gave her his personal cell phone to call if she needed anything or felt she was in danger. Warning, Karen free post. When I was 26 I was teaching at a school that had 3 to 12 grade in one building. I worked with all grade levels, so my classroom was a corner of the library. It was the end of the year and I decided to attend the 8th grade banquet which was held in the gym. Another teacher who was in the library was also going, and we decided to leave the library doors unlocked so that we didn't have to carry our keys all night. We were both wearing dresses and had no pockets. After the banquet ended I headed back to the library to grab my stuff so that I could leave, but found that the doors had been locked and my keys were inside. Fortunately, there was a custodian in a supply closet nearby. The custodian will be referred to as C. Me, excuse me, can you let me in? C, why? Me, my stuff is in there. C, yeah, give me a minute. C finishes what he is doing and he unlocks the door for me. Instead of returning to his work he watches me as I walk the 50 or so feet to my desk. Suddenly I realize what's going on. Me, I'm a teacher. This is my classroom. C, oh, Sorry, I thought you were a student. That was one of the last times I got mistaken for a student as I finally started looking more college age. Sunday morning I was standing at the front desk, waiting for checkouts, when one of our stayover guests came around the corner from the elevator griping, "This is ridiculous." She stepped up to the desk and started telling me that she hadn't said anything sooner because she just didn't want to deal with it, but she's convinced that the sofa sleeper mattress in her room is stained with blood, and she flashes me a couple photos on her phone. I couldn't tell if they were actually from one of our rooms or not, but I know that nobody has been stabbed to death on our property, so I was a bit skeptical. I couldn't leave the desk to go look for myself, so I explained that the phone would be on property in the afternoon and I would definitely have them speak with her. In spite of her initially claiming that she was afraid of catching who knows what from the stain or her hotel room, she seemed satisfied with this and went back upstairs. Until just after noon, when she came back down and started insulting me in front of another guest. She yelled at me that I had no empathy, yelled at me for standing there with a dumb look on my face, you name it. She claimed I had lied about the foam coming in that afternoon. And then pulled out her phone and started referring to me as this be to the person on the other end. She threatened to call the health department, and then corporate, about me and the hotel. So yes, I stood there silently, because what do you say to a guest that you know is defying their home state's stay-at-home order to visit a friend? A guest who has not once used a face mask or disposable gloves or even a free hand sanitizer on the counter when they've gone in and out of the hotel? A guest who has brought multiple visitors up to their room? A guest who has already used the allegedly dirty mattress for 2 days without saying anything? Cue the foam arriving a couple hours later, and he goes up to the guest's room to take a look. While there, she makes the same threats to him and now adds the BBB to the mix, but after he confirms that the stains are probably wine and definitely aren't blood, the guest decides she wants to check out. Your choice, ma'am. Monday morning arrives, and our executive HK shampoos that mattress, and the wine comes right out. But wait, this room had literally been occupied for 48 hours, it should have trashed somewhere, but the trash bags that were in the room are just gone. Maybe our hotel is haunted, because there were tied up trash bags outside of 2 different rooms further down the hall. Rooms that were unoccupied. Rooms that had been unoccupied. One bag even had a wine bottle in it. So weird, right? A nursing supervisor friend of mine was working at our hospital. She told me this story. A patient died and was taken to the morgue in the basement. He was a recent code blue from the ER. The family arrives later that night and asks to see the patient in the morgue. Some people need closure. The nursing supervisor escorts the family to this locked and restricted area in the basement. It's close to midnight and the family wailing, overcome by grief. They are so upset he died and want to blame someone. They collectively grab the body partially wrapped in plastic. They said they want to throw him on the front lawn and call the press to expose the hospital for perceived wrongdoing. They start running down the hall, the body in tow. This basement is a literal maze of hallways containing laundry, kitchen facilities, medical supplies and even a loading dock for supplies to be delivered. There are many locked areas which make it a confusing place to negotiate. It was like the Keystone Cops or a Scooby-Doo scene, going in and outdoors, running up and down various hallways with the nursing supervisor in pursuit. The family were unable to find a way out. They finally gave up, and the patient was returned to the morgue. Well, my darling front desk folks, my time might just be limited among the ranks. Perhaps not, but this one is getting me. This afternoon I came in to find my lovely supervisor looking perfectly shell-shocked. She had good reason to. A guest who is 2 days into an 8-day stay has me wondering if it's worth coming back tomorrow, and I've seen some shoot. This morning, one of the party was seen wearing a bulletproof vest when they came to pick up their breakfast. Okay, that's alarming. A little bit later, the female guest was caught sneaking a crossbow into the hotel under her coat. Not a little toy but a full-on weapon. Cops were called. They informed management that she's got multiple warrants, but since Corona has the courts closed, they weren't touching her and went on their way. So here we sit with the warrants having, crossbow packing, bulletproof vest wearing crazy person in the hotel for the next week, and well, I need to pet a unicorn. And have a drink. Perhaps with a unicorn. I bet they mix a mean cocktail. I work at a small-town coffee shop that has managed to adapt and stay busy during COVID-19 by utilizing a window for walk-up service. A regular problematic customer, let's call him TJ, is a typical middle-aged man riddled with toxic masculinity. He often makes female employees and customers uncomfortable with his comments. Lately he's been around a lot, being typical TJ. Today he came to our window and ordered a coffee. Cool, nothing out of the ordinary. A co-worker asked him if he would like to tip via our Square register. We normally don't verbally ask customers, but with the current pandemic we are not allowing customers to touch our iPad system. He proceeded to tell her to put 100, and reassured them he wanted to tip that much because he appreciates our hard work and effort and wants to chip in since our business has been a bit slower. Okay, I gave him that and almost have a change of heart about DJ. We both outwardly thank him and he goes on his way. I text my boss about this uncharacteristic interaction with TJ, and through their end of the register system she was able to look at the transaction. They noticed that not only was the credit card he used not in his name, but in his boss's name, on their company card. Typical TJ. What a D-bag. Tifu by wearing my night guard. This may have happened a week ago, but regardless. My BF, M/29, and I, F/29, live in an apartment where we have been having a case of the fruit flies. We have left out solution that killed a large majority, having dealt with it before, but they never fully go away. After so much frustration, we decided to smash any that we see in an epic battle of gnat versus human. On this particular day of merciless slaying of gnats, we were tired and decided to call it a night. I roll over to put my night guard in, since I love to grind my teeth. To my horror, I felt something wiggling near my lips. Thinking I may have eaten a gnat, I run into the bathroom and look in the mirror only to find a small, wiggling larvae. Going straight into panic mode of disgust, I wash my face only to think how that thing got on my face. That is when I opened my mouth to only find more. The gnats had laid eggs in my retainer case and are now living in my mouth. I still feel dirty and orally assaulted by gnats to this day. They got the last laugh. TLDR, put retainer in mouth to discover that gnats had laid eggs, which are in my mouth. First time posting, currently a EMS dispatcher for a private ambulance company for 3 years now. We take some calls, however, they're usually seizures, psych, and falls. This one? Probably should have been psych, but unfortunately she wasn't the patient. This call happened in my first year, while I was pretty fresh and didn't understand the power of controlling a call. And #X200B. Me, okay, tell me exactly what happened. CLR, yeah, my mom fell in the other room, you know we have her locked in there right now, but yeah she fell and I think she may have hit her head. Me, okay, are you with her now? CLR, well, you see, she has dementia, and we live in a new home, so she is locked in there. You see, we can't have her wandering because of the bears that are around here. Me, have you gone to check on her yet? CLR, no, I can't unlock her door because she will get out and the bears will get her. Me, can you please go check on the patient? CLR, yeah, I think she might have hit her head, it sounded like she hit the end table, that's what woke me up, but even our big dog, insert large dog brand, is afraid to go outside because there are bears here at this new house. Please send the ambulance but make sure they get in and out quick because the bears will get them. Rinse and repeat for literally every one of the 10 questions involved with a fall. I was essentially working with a third-party caller as she flat out refused to unlock her mother from the room until the imps got there, let alone even go look at her. And #X200B. I kid you not, I heard way more about these bears than I ever got out of her regarding her fallen mother. While I may have wanted to bash my head into the desk repeatedly asking her the questions, now I can have a good belly laugh over it. From what I do remember though, Mom was transported alright, and no EMTs were mauled by the darn bears. I had recently gotten a bottle of compressed air for a keyboard a friend gave me they weren't using anymore. After cleaning it out, I realized I had a significant amount left. I remembered that if you use it while the can is upside down, it shoots really cold liquid which I was messing around with. I tried soaking a towel with the liquid to see how it would burn, and it went up immediately. A day or so later, I saw some water from using my sink earlier and decided to freeze it with the air. I used too much and saw it poking around the water and decided to see if I could light the little bit there. What I hadn't realized is that I had been spraying normally so there was invisible fuel all over the sink and the entire thing went up. My nose and mouth took a hit and maybe a half hour later I can still smell it and my throat is still sore. DL, doctor, I sprayed compressed air all around my sink, lit it on fire, and got a nose and mouth full of flaming fuel. Edit, I may have been too dramatic in my description. I think I was still reeling from seeing it ignite and exaggerated my symptoms. Everything is okay now, but thank you to everyone who gave me advice. I'm sorry I let on I was in a more serious situation. On mobile, might make mistakes, and TLDR at the bottom. So I'm a swimmer in boarding high school and this happened last year. I wear a cap so water seeping through and getting stuck in my ear wasn't uncommon, but one day the water was stuck for hours. All through dinner, study hall, and in the shower I tried increasingly hard to get the water out of my ear. It was extremely uncomfortable and began to hurt, but no matter what I did it wouldn't come out. I looked up a few tips on how to get water out and one was to just sleep on the side the water occupied so gravity would just pull it out. I tried this but I toss in my sleep so it didn't work. The pain eventually woke me up in the middle of the night and I thought it was just water pressure that was causing me pain. So I decided at 2 a.m. I was going to get this water out. It killed me. It took me till 3 a.m. to get it out, but using a suction cup type movement with my hand, I was so relieved and tired I just fell back asleep. When I woke up, blood was everywhere. Turns out, I got an ear infection from not cleaning my ears out well enough after swimming and I burst my eardrum. Blood was pooling behind my eardrum cause of the infection and when I drained my ear all the blood came pouring out. Pretty much the only lasting effect is a cold sensitive ear. TLDR, drained my ear of water. Turned out to be blood from an ear infection. This actually happened today, about 10 minutes ago. I am a pretty neat person, and keep my things organized. Except, I am very forgetful and always in a hurry. I am that roommate that leaves the bread open, or the light on after leaving a room. Small things like that are annoying. I know, I am aware of my problem and, well, today I learned my lesson. My roommate is super anal about all that small stuff, and constantly reminds me to close the cabinets and keep the cereal bags rolled in boxes closed. But it's my cereal and I just didn't really see the point in it since he doesn't eat it. So I'm winding down the evening, finishing up doing some laundry and final computer work, and decide now is the perfect time for fourth meal. Once 10 p.m. rolls around, there is only one meal that really satisfies, a massive bowl of cereal. I get out my Special K and milk and pour them, in that order, into a pristine glass bowl. In my haste to get back to my computer, I quickly munch a few bites and put back my ingredients without thinking twice. Sitting back at my desk I happily chomp away at the greatest meal around. As I look down to appreciate my prize, I see small black dots in the milk. At first, I'm only surprised, wondering when Special K added chia seeds to their cereal. However, to my horror, I saw those chia seeds begin to swim. Like a horror movie, my eyes focused on the spoonful in front of my mouth, sopping wet chunks of oats and almonds all covered in hundreds of little eggs. A troop of ants had discovered my treasure. My eyes flash back again to the bowl. Covered. That's the only word for it. Hundreds of them. Swimming, and walking, and existing in my half-eaten cereal bowl, crawling in between oat bits and swarming to dry land. All I could do was spit out what was in my mouth and dash to the kitchen. I chucked that crap as quickly as possible and have been attempting with some mouthwash to kill any survivors between my teeth. I feel like they're still crawling in my mouth and can't stop checking my teeth for more. I now see they made a perfect little ant line straight into my open cereal box, which I will be closing in the future. TL, Doctor, I left my cereal box open and ate several mouthfuls of ants without realizing it. Bartender at a local pizza joint. My buddy came in after a long day dealing with his two sick little girls. He tells me a story from today about the littlest. She's screaming for him from the bathroom. She states she's been waiting for 60 years for him. All she wanted was a cheese pizza from our place. Since they were sick he went with something more appropriate for upset stomachs. But you can guarantee I got him a gift certificate for a cheese pizza for her when she's better. Nice to have good customers to even out the bad ones, lol. I worked in housekeeping in a hotel for months up until this past week. I'm now 35 weeks pregnant. I was scheduled to work 5+ days a week, with 20+ rooms to myself. I came into work recently, because I was on the schedule, and I could barely walk. I couldn't bend my back and my ankles were hugely swollen. I had been in L&D the night before to stop contractions. We didn't have many rooms, but 5 housekeepers in-house. Everyone was almost begging my manager to send me home, as we had too many housekeepers for the amount of rooms. Now, I'm huge at this point in pregnancy. I can't bend too far forward in general. My manager and I, discussed a couple weeks ago that she didn't want me cleaning bathtubs, so I was to have another housekeeper come clean my bathtubs. No biggie, I was fine with that. Well, the day before I quit I had went to find another HK to help with a bathtub. Said manager stopped us in the hall and asked what we were doing socializing on the clock. We explained that she was going to clean a bathtub for me and would go right back to her rooms. She yelled at me and said that if I can't do my job, I need to quit so that she can hire someone who's willing to work. I explained that it wasn't that I wasn't willing to work, rather that's one small task that I myself struggle with accomplishing. She didn't care. She continued yelling at me. Now, I've always hated being yelled at, so I spent the rest of my shift crying while cleaning my rooms. I got home from work, still crying. My boyfriend became extremely upset as I told him what had happened. We decided that it's in the best interest of our child that I just be done, as it's a lot of emotional trouble as well as physical. So I gave my manager her wish, and I went in and handed in my scrubs and quit. She seemed sympathetic, said she understood, was sad to see me go, and for me to come talk to her after I was released from maternity leave. Fast forward to today, another HK at said hotel was talking to this manager, while recording the conversation to send to me. She asked if I would be back after baby. The manager told her that I was lazy and a crybaby so she would never consider hiring me back. I'm glad I quit. I feel like I dodged a bullet. I'm not sure that I'll ever be able to convince myself to work in housekeeping again. So I had a friend that I actually kinda liked and was gonna tell her about it, but the virus came and everyone's stuck inside. I had her phone number so we still could talk. On one of our recent chats, I asked her if she was going to take the national exam because her and her family went somewhere else and you can only enter the exam in the province you live in. We have those to determine which schools we will be in, and she said, "What does it have to do with you?" And instead of saying, "Just asking," I explained how much I cared for her. Persuasion attempt failed. She said that even she didn't care that much about herself. And then she blocked me. Now I don't know how to respond. So I chose not to. If someone does this to me, they are not worth caring for. But I also felt my first heartbreak. DL, doctor, confessed a friend by explaining how much I cared about her future, failed miserably. So, long story short, I work as the overnight dispatcher for a parking company, which means I take the phone calls we get from people who need help/have questions etc. This call happened about 3 months ago. Me, hello parking company, how can I help you? Caller, there is a deer in lot name. Me, a deer? Caller, yes. Me, is it dead? Thinking we needed to clean it up. Caller, no. It's just in the lot and I was hoping you could do something about it. Me: okay ma'am, we will see what we can do. Caller, thanks. Hangs up. Which was followed by me laughing my ass off for a minute. It's a deer chilling in a parking lot, it's not going to bother anyone. The lot she named is at the edge of our area, and is next to a forested area. There is wildlife that comes around from time to time. Just a funny call I thought I would share. DL, doctor, there was a deer. So I'm a teacher and I often get asked to watch my friends' kids when school's let out, summer break, winter break, snow days, etc. Daycares aren't open yet where I live, so a friend asked me to watch his kids for a couple weeks until they open. No problem. Another side note, last night I made jello and put it in a unicorn mold because I thought it would make my daughter happy. I showed my buddy when he dropped off the kids, his daughter enjoyed it as well. QFU. As his daughter was eating breakfast I tried to transfer the upside down mold right side up onto a plate and it came out horrifying. It looks terrible. So I took a picture and sent it to my friend with the message, "Oh God, it came out a bloody mess." Turns out that's not a great message to read while driving away from your dearly beloved. He told me he started to freak out because he only read the message, and didn't see the picture. He was trying to figure out a way to turn around, making plans for the hospital, the whole nine. Once he opened the picture he calmed down, but it gave him a nice scare. Here's the picture I sent. TL doctor tried to show my friend my jello mold fail, gave him a fright while watching his kids. Obligatory. This was a few years ago, but it still haunts me to this day. So me and a group of my girlfriends decide to go on a lads holiday, you know the kind, with bad clubs and too much tequila? Well, one night we go on a bar crawl and hit up some surprisingly nice bars. We started at a foam party, and I remember one had a pool out the back, so of course being tipsy we all jump in, fully clothed. Calm down guys. Anyway, we get to the next place, and me and my friend Jade are standing by the bar when some guy we'd never seen before comes up to us and gently tugs on my shirt and says, "Fancy a threesome?" I, being a hot mess 3 drinks ago, grab my vodka soda and throw it in the guy's face and start telling him how he gives guys a bad name, before hair swishing my way back to my friends, but weirdly Jade stayed. Jade them comes back a few minutes later saying, "Well, that was rude." To which I reply, I know. How can guys think they can treat people like that? It's... Jade cuts me off mid-sentence. No, not him. You. What the flip was that? Jade, what are you on about? He asked if we fancied a threesome. Jade then looks at me, with a look of horror spreading on her face. No. He said you must be freezing. Because our clothes were wet. From the pool. The bar was super crowded, so I couldn't find him to explain and apologize. In my head I've built up this ridiculously elaborate backstory on how this shy guy got dragged on a trashy holiday by his friends, saw some drunk chick and got the courage up to go and check she was okay just to have her flip the flip out for no reason, breaking his trust in humanity forever. Dr. A guy was genuinely concerned about my well-being and I misheard him and threw a drink in his face. I am 14. I am a certified referee in my state. I know the rules as I've played by them my whole life along with taking the officiating classes. At our park district, no headers for ages below 11. But in U12, it is up to the referee's discretion. So if it's a small tap it's okay. That is exactly what happens. So the coach behind me screams at the top of his lungs there are no headers in U12 5 to 16 times. I ignore him. Though I could eject him. It was last game of the season and I didn't care. After a bit of yelling, he says fine. Go duck yourself then, which I turn and tell at him for saying in front of you 11 kids. I wish I sent him away or ended the match. Sadly I didn't do much and my partner is a longtime referee, officiated my matches as I grew up, and he is deaf. So he has no idea what happened. The person who runs Park District in my area has been informed and is taking action. I haven't been in touch with my high school crush in 25 years. For a long time I had searched for her on different social media platforms if for no other reason than to say hi and ask her how she was doing, but I couldn't find her. Turns out she wasn't using her last name, but yesterday I found her through a friend. So, I sent her a friend request and waited on pins and needles hoping that she would accept. A few hours ago I got the notification, and I immediately sent her a message to say hi. I wanted to keep things casual and light, so I thought I'd joke around with her. I said that I'm glad I'm not the only one who got fat since high school. She has since unfriended me and won't respond to my personal messages. In the meantime all I can hear in my head is Garth Brooks's unanswered prayers. Doctor found my high school crush, told her that I was glad I'm not the only one who got fat and now she won't talk to me. Honorary not today sorry. In college I took a life-saving class that would allow me to get Red Cross lifeguard and CPR certified. I'm the type of person who goes all in and is very serious about emergencies. I believe that a serious attitude in dangerous situations save lives, so I took the class pretty seriously while most people took it as an elective. My teacher was awesome, amazing woman who I admire very much. She was pretty strict, kinda scary, but really liked me for my determination and how serious I took the class. One day I was with a group of guys who weren't super into the class. We were doing a shallow water spinal injury rescue and I was trying to learn it while dealing with the goofs. Fun guys but not the ones you want on your group project if you know what I mean. So in order to perform the rescue you take the victim's arms and use them to brace the head and neck of the person by grabbing between the armpit and elbow and pressing their bicep against the side of the head. It's tricky at first but with practice you can get it down to second nature. These guys were struggling and joking around. They asked me what to do if the person was missing one of their arms. I said to do it with one and try to have little movement as possible to brace the neck. Then they asked what if they were missing both arms. I shrugged and said, would someone with no arms really be worth saving? I didn't mean it, mostly wanted to get them off my back, but my instructor frowned at me and walked away. A girl in another group harshly whispered to me. Her husband is a double amputee missing an arm and leg and I bet Mrs. Teacher would want him saved. I was hoping to get a lifeguarding job at that pool the next season but it was offered to another girl in my class. No way to know if it was because of that comment but I still feel so awful for it. Also for the record I saw her husband later on and he really is a double amputee. Doctor insulted my teacher's husband by saying someone without arms isn't worth saving and missed out on a job opportunity. A few years ago my boyfriend at the time and I went to his older sister's house for Christmas lunch. We'd only been together a few months and it was the first time meeting his family. The day wore on, lunch was fantastic, everything was going great and I was a few bottles of wine worse for the wear and I really wanted a nap. I tried dozing in the hammock, the balcony chair and a lounge to no avail. My boyfriend noticed my predicament and offered to come and lay down with my and his niece's room because we were supposed to be spending the night anyway but we didn't close the curtain. No biggie cause it was on the carport side of the house and we weren't getting undressed to snooze. We did genuinely try to doze off but one thing led to another and we ended up having sex, thankfully, fully clothed. I had a dress on and he just pulled his shorts down. Anyway, after a few position swaps we ended up in missionary but with him up on his knees. All of a sudden he stopped pounding away, looked up and waved out the darn window to a 7-year-old nephew. Note, the window was a bit higher than the bed so with me on my back I wasn't visible. Suffice to say it killed the mood pretty quick and we were absolutely mortified. We waited in the room for a while and then decided to show our faces. Thankfully no one mentioned anything and after another hour or two I asked my BF how much he'd had to drink and if he could drive home. We hightailed it out of there. DL, doctor got boned by my BF but didn't shut the curtain. I commented a brief synopsis of this story on Other Story earlier today but thought it would be good to share the full story. This happened roughly 2 years ago while working in a call center for a database/data entry company that deals with the vehicle industry so I'm a bit rusty on exactly how the call went but will do my best to get it close. DL, doctor at the bottom. Me equals me, GGG equals grease gun guy. Me, obligatory greeting. GGG, yeah, I ordered one of your grease guns and it just arrived. It doesn't seem to work and I want help fixing it. Me, I'm sorry, sir. Did you say you purchased a grease gun from us? GGG, yes, and it doesn't work. Me, sir, I believe you have the wrong number. This is a database company. We do not sell grease guns. GGG, well I got this number off the package. Me, well sir, I'm not sure why it would have this number as we do not sell grease guns or any other products. GGG, but it's got your number on the package. Me, I don't know why it would have our number. We have nothing to do with grease guns. GGG, but it has your number. Are you sure you can't help me with this? Me, no sir. I don't know anything about a grease gun or why it would not be working. GGG, well I guess I'll just figure it out myself then. Hangs up. After he ended the call, I had to find out what he was talking about. Sure enough, when I searched for the specific brand of grease gun, I found it. The brand name of the grease gun was in fact the same name as my employer but spelled slightly different. However, this doesn't explain why our number was on the package, if it really was. DL, doctor, guy calls database company for help with a grease gun. Says he got our number off the package. Doesn't believe me when I tell him we don't sell grease guns. Still wants me to help fix it. Not me, but witnessed my bar manager go through this. Customer, excuse me, I've been waiting ages and you served everyone except me. Bar manager, I'm sorry love, what do you want? C, I'm not your love. Stares. BM, I'm sorry, can I get you anything? C, I think it's awful how you ignore customers who have been waiting for so long. BM, I didn't realize you had been waiting so long, what can I get you? C, well, I think this is awful, 5 people must have come after me and been served. BM, I apologize again, I'll get you your drinks now, what would you like? C, for free? BM, sorry, I can't do them for free. C, why not? I've had to wait for so long, it's the least you can do. BM, I don't think it works like that, do you want any drinks or not? C, of course I do, why do you think I was waiting at the bar? But I don't think I should have to pay. BM, you can either buy a drink or stand away from the bar I'm afraid, that's all we can offer. C, fine. But I don't want you to serve me. BM, why not? C, because you're incompetent, you don't know what you're doing. BM, well everyone else here didn't serve you fast enough either, what difference does it make who pours your drinks? C, well I've just said, anyone but you. Now get somebody else. BM, well, the other staff are busy mixing drinks, so you'll have to wait if you want them. C, are you kidding? Flip you. BM, flip me? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Commence ranting and shouting followed by the bouncer escorting her out. Before I start, this isn't a pity me story, I'm fine. I want to share this because it was ridiculous. I'd met this guy, let's call him DG for delusional guy. I was 16 at the time, he seemed alright and back then I didn't see the red flags as red flags. So naturally when he started opening up to me about his abusive ex-girlfriends and how he was such a nice guy and they took advantage of it, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Boy, Was I wrong? Fast forward to a year later, DG asks me out and I say yes. Over the course of 2 years, he started creating problems where there weren't any, all the time. He was always the poor victim, I was always wrong. Eventually it got to a point where he'd get mad for anything that didn't involve paying attention to him exclusively. Including sleeping. Always twisting it to make it look like it was the worst crime ever committed. He'd compare me a lot with his ex, let's call her Girl. Girl had supposedly tried to contact him again but he didn't want anything to do with her because she was toxic and she cheated on him. Here's an example of him getting mad at me for problems he created himself. Once he sent me a random nude and I didn't want to anger him so I reacted positively. And it became all about how he was a nice guy and I was treating him like a sex object. Few weeks later he sent me another nude and since I didn't want to make him feel like a sex object I stayed neutral about it. And of course I was still a monster because I was making him feel unattractive and insecure. There was just no winning with him. I found a job in a fast food restaurant a couple years ago and I broke up with him shortly after since I was seeing normal humans again and of course I could suddenly see the entire relationship was far from normal. Not only that but I found out Girl hadn't cheated on DG. He had cheated on her. She dumped him and he tried to get her back throughout our entire relationship. So much for not wanting to do anything with her and she's trying so hard to contact me. He was also actively cheating on me with another girl. After I dumped him, he begged me to give him a chance but I said no. So he sent me a million texts whining about how he was such a nice guy again and he still cared even after how I treated him and I was a piece of shit. I just blocked him and refused to see him so he started sending his friends. He is still in complete denial and by now I'm probably another evil toxic ex who broke his heart in his feel-bad stories for his next girl. I've been working at the restaurant for a little over 4 years and I'm currently the longest worker at that location. In August the new owner would have their 1 year of owning the place. I've been trained to open and close register and even take inventory for next day orders. Whenever I try to ring someone out he always speed walks to the cash register. He's stood over me while I cashed someone out. We always put the opening amount cash under the cash register so it could be ready for the morning and he would take it out and put it in his car after I closed the register for the night. He keeps extra bills and coins in a locker locked up and one time he needed to talk to me. He told me that someone has been taking money out of the locker, nobody has the combination except him after he bought a new lock, and stole $200 worth of money out from there which I know nobody would especially since there is a camera that points directly at the lockers, and I'm sure if it was true he would have fired someone over that much amount missing. We also keep a tip jar next to register and he always finds it in himself to empty the jar and put our tips on the bar. I'd give it's for him to see how much we made or just be helpful but I'm capable of doing it myself. I'm just so tired of having him up my ass all the time. TLDR, thousands of shop-level employees got laid off based on a computer algorithm the corporate office designed that doesn't factor in seniority and gives preference to certain employees. Store managers and corporate office employees were not affected at all by these layoffs. Please feel free to ask me any questions, I have lots of free time now. And #X200B. I work at Take 5 Oil Change, same thing as Jiffy Lube, for 5 years and was terminated yesterday along with 1,000 other lube techs. All the stores only have 1 to 3 people working there now. Nobody at the corporate level got let go, all the store managers are still working, and the rest was left up to a computer algorithm. I took pictures of our company's organizational charts in ADP before they locked me out, showing that corporate employees were not affected at all. The regional manager, who is in charge of over 60 stores, actually said that corporate's computers picked which assistant managers and lube techs would stay and which ones would be terminated with preference given to some assistant managers. I have no say in the matter. Apparently experience wasn't a factor in this algorithm. Lube techs who had worked there for more than 20 years got laid off while some techs who just started last year are still being employed. In the letter they sent out to everyone, they stated that all employees terminated will be considered for rehire subject to work history. They aren't even guaranteeing their jobs back, they're basically telling us we need to fill out an application again and hope for a callback. Does this seem pretty messed up or is it just me? How can a company lay off people so easily without care? It sounds like they are using the current events as an opportunity to clean house and start fresh with new people once things settle down. I can't imagine a company anywhere that lets a computer tell them who can stay and who can leave during a layoff. I think what bothers me the most is that I know very well the expendable shop-level employees are only getting laid off so the company can afford to pay the management and corporate employees. They still have 10 employees on payroll making $70-80K a year for unit growth and development. This company is not doing any growing or expanding right now, couldn't they let some of those people go? Thank you for taking the time to read, I just really wanted to vent my frustrations. If what they are doing isn't illegal, then it is certainly the shadiest thing I have ever come across. When I was 17 I used to deliver for a well-known pizza place in the area. Of course Fridays were always insane and this Friday was supposedly going to be the biggest. Halfway through the night I got to deliver to a home for a specialty pie with 5 toppings. The bill came out to $35. Pizza was deep dish when given toppings so the price was always jacked up, and was hopping for another good tip to bring my night to about $50. As I'm walking up to the door I can hear them trying to shush their dog. Usually whenever this were to happen it was common courtesy for the customer to come outside to avoid any issues with their dog. Well, they open the door and their 100-pound husky comes bolting out, jumps, bites my arm and then attacks the pizza. Luckily I was okay and very disoriented from the whole situation and wasn't sure what to do since the pizza was all over their front steps. They freaked out and continuously apologized. They informed me that they would call the store and order a new pie and pay for both and tip me extra. However, they sent me on my way without ever paying me. My 17-year-old mind was still messed up from getting attacked by their dog. Getting back to the store I find out they never called and we couldn't find their phone number to contact them. Got bit by their dog and ended up not making anything after it all. The day started like any other day. My teacher was a bit late to class because he had left to get coffee. He soon returned and sat at his desk. His desk was in the corner with a cabinet behind him and his desk in front. They were against the wall. It was the first class of the day. He usually gave us 5 minutes to relax before class. I was tired and had my head on my desk. I was resting and almost ready to fall asleep when I heard a crash. I instantly sat up and looked to the source of the noise. My teacher was on the floor and his head had hit the air vent on the wall. One of my classmates went to the phone and got things started on that end. I went with a couple classmates to the classroom next door. There were 6 of us in total in the entire class. We stayed in the neighboring classroom. He soon got taken away in an ambulance. My classmates and I got taken to an empty conference room to rest and half of us went home that day. Our school closed days later due to the virus. We had a sub for a while online. But one day instead of just our substitute our teacher was there. I think we all cried a bit when we first saw him. Although we heard our beloved math teacher was okay, a wave of relief washed over me when I saw him myself. Today we had a Zoom call where everyone involved in saving his life got together. He was choked up by the end of it. Only 10% of people make it out of those situations without anything physical or mental happening to them. It was a blessing that he was in that 10%. He is now teaching again and is doing a lot better. Stay strong everyone, because blessings like these moments are still out there.